Some places hold secrets, secrets better left undisturbed. We travel through the veil between worlds, where ghosts of the past refuse to stay buried. Prepare to witness firsthand the chilling evidence of the paranormal. The story of those who have encountered the other side and the unexplained phenomena that defy logic and reason. Are you ready to face the unknown? Welcome to Milkshakes and Ghosts.
This episode is brought to you by
Sinister Brew Coffee isn't your ordinary cup of joe. It's a bold, horror-themed, small-batch coffee company owned by veterans who dare to take your taste buds on a dark and delicious journey.
From cosmic creations to cryptid-inspired blends, every roast comes with a sinister twist. Handcrafted for those who crave something truly unique.
It's not just coffee. It's an experience steeped in mystery, macabre storytelling, and flavors that are to die for.
Dare to sip in the shadows and join the Sinister family at sinisterbrewcoffee.com.
Where every cup reminds you that the darkness is delicious.
The following accounts contain acts of violence, murder, suicide, and death. Listener discretion is advised.
Lizzie Borden took an axe and gave her mother 40 whacks. When she saw what she had done, she gave her father 41. Andrew Borden is now dead. Lizzie hit him on the head. Up in heaven he will sing. On the gallows she will swing. Welcome to Milkshakes and Ghosts podcast.
Hey everyone, I'm Jessie.
And I'm Jenny. Today, we're going to be talking about Lizzie Borden. That's right, I said it, Lizzie Borden.
The dark Lizzie Borden nursery rhyme you just heard was created by an unknown person around 1893. Mom, finally, a time period before you were born.
Don't start with me, Jessie. You and your jokes are getting old.
Older than you?
Older than me? I'm not old. Anyways, today, we will not only be discussing Lizzie Borden, but the whole Borden family. There is a darker history way before Lizzie Borden became the talk of the town.
I'm familiar with Lizzie Borden, but there's so many movies and TV shows about her. The Lizzie Borden Chronicles was a limited series that premiered on Lifetime back in 2015.
Okay, I loved that show. I watched every episode, and I was so sad when it ended.
There was also a Lizzie Borden Took an Axe movie with Christina Ricci in 2014. Another movie by the name of Lizzie premiered in 2018. An older film called The Legend of Lizzie Borden came out in 1975. And not to mention the countless books that have been written all about the infamous Lizzie Borden. So, it's no wonder, even after decades later, everyone still knows her name. But what about the other Borden family members? There's not much talk about the Borden family.
That's why we're going to talk about all the dark and bone-chilling history of the Borden family today.
Before we get started, I just have to ask the most important question of the day.
What's that, Jessie?
What you drinking today?
I'm drinking a strawberries and cream milkshake.
Your milkshakes always have fruit in them, man.
Okay, don't start with me with the milkshakes and fruit because it's refreshing. I got the recipe from food.com. And of course, like always, or at least usually, it's very simple to make if you want to make it. It's just a half a cup of cream, half a cup of milk, a cup of strawberry ice cream, 1 tablespoon of honey, and of course, strawberries. I will link the recipe in our show notes if anyone wants to try it, including you, Jessie.
It sounds good.
It is. So, Jessie, what's in your cup today?
Today, I am drinking an ice cream sandwich milkshake recipe.
That sounds really delicious.
Well, it actually is. I got the recipe from thekitchen.com.
So, what's in it?
I took ice cream sandwiches, dairy-free milk, and blended it into a blender. I topped it off with chocolate syrup and whipped cream. I will link our recipe in the show notes for anyone who's interested in trying it out.
So now that we have our milkshakes and we've discussed what we have in them, it's time to get spooky.
Everyone listening right now, grab your favorite milkshake and hold on to your blankie. Be wary. It's about to get scary.
This episode is brought to you by
Embrace the enchanting darkness with wicked Salem candles. Spooky, yet delightfully scented. Discover non-toxic, aromatic, long-lasting, clean burn, eco-friendly soy candles in bewitching scents and vibrant colors.
Wicked Salem Candles is a healthy alternative for people with allergies or respiratory issues, while also being environmentally friendly due to the renewable nature of soy wax.
With these candles, you're not just illuminating your space with a steady glow, you're protecting the environment. These candles are safer and environmentally friendly since they release fewer harmful chemicals into the air when burned.
Do you like getting candles with a longer burn time? Well, with Wicked Salem Candles, you'll get just that. These soy candles provide a consistent, unwavering flame, crafted for a lasting brilliance.
Wicked Salem candles are more than just candles. They offer a curated collection of spooky treasures. Discover bewitching room sprays, hauntingly beautiful art decor, and spellbinding accessories.
Whether you're preparing for Halloween, celebrating the fall season, or simply love a touch of the macabre, Wicked Salem Candles has something for you. Enjoy a touch of spookiness all year round.
Affordable, yet aromatic, long-lasting, environmental, friendly scents. If you're ready to illuminate your path the Wicked Salem way, visit wickedsalemscandle.com. Wicked Salem Candles, so good it's scary. Long before Lizzie, there was Uncle Borden, and this man had many misfortunes.
Misfortunes, or was it the Borden family curse?
After researching this episode, I'm starting to believe the Borden family was cursed.
Same here.
Lawdwick Borden was born on March 14th, 1812, the son of Martha Patty Bowen and Richard Borden. On September 8th, 1833, Lawdwick Borden married 22-year-old Maria Briggs, but their union was soon met with tragedy. By 1836, their two infant children died. 2 years later, their mother, Maria Briggs, passed away. Lawdwick Borden was now a widower at 26 years of age. On March 16, 1843, he married his second wife, Eliza Darling. Lawdwick and Eliza lived in a small Cape Cod-style home located on land owned by the Borden family in Fall River, Massachusetts. On October 22, 1844, they welcomed a daughter named Maria. Their second daughter, Eliza, arrived in 1846, and she was followed by a son named Holder in 1848. Lawdwick's first marriage ended in tragedy after 5 years, during which he saw the death of 2 children and his wife. He had no idea it was about to happen again.
In 1848, Eliza Darling Borden committed the unthinkable, taking her 2-year-old daughter and infant son into the cellar of her home. She threw the children into a large drum of water, where they both drowned. There are 2 main variations of where Eliza went next. Some say she went upstairs, and others say she went behind the chimney in the cellar. Regardless of the exact location, the outcome was the same. Eliza slit her own throat with one of Lawdwick's straight razors, joining her 2 young children in death at the age of 37. Lawdwick and Eliza's youngest daughter, Maria, survived the ordeal, and Lawdwick went on to marry his third wife, Eliza T. Chase, on February 29, 1856. Although this third marriage lasted longer than his previous two, in 1865, Lawdwick buried another wife, when this Eliza died at 51 years old. At this point, he had buried 3 wives and 4 children, all before the age of 53.
Whoa, that's a lot to go through. Do you know what the third wife died from?
I'm not sure. The article I got the information from did not say.
There definitely is some kind of curse with this Borden family. That's just too much tragedy and death to not be cursed.
Just after little Maria Borden was born in 1844, another house was built on land owned by Lawdwick. Just next door and slightly north of the home, a home was built on 2nd Street for woolen mill carding room supervisor Charles Trafton and his wife Hannah. By 1851, Charles would lose both his wife to tuberculosis and his infant son, Charles Jr., to unknown causes inside the house. Charles and his second wife lived in the home until 1872, when Lawdwick's nephew and his family moved into it. His nephew was Andrew Borden, and he and his wife Abby were killed in the Trafton's house, now the infamous Lizzie Borden house, on August 4th, 1892. Adding to the bloodshed, after speculating if the two had been poisoned previous to the axe attack, their bodies were taken into the dining room of the house, laid out on the dining room table, and their stomachs were cut open for examination. By the time Lizzie Borden stood in the courtroom accused of murdering her father and stepmother with an axe, the name Borden had already had more than its fair share of tragedy. During the trial, the mental state of the entire Borden family was brought up with a particular focus being put on the suicide of Eliza Borden after drowning her 2 children. As much as the prosecution wanted to use the tragic deaths as evidence of inherited madness, it was almost immediately shut down. The defense correctly argued that Eliza was only a Borden by marriage, not by blood. And besides, the surviving child, Maria, was now 49 years old and alive and well, and a mother herself, still living in the city. It was a valuable point to make, and one that may have helped Lizzie walk out of the courtroom as a free woman on June 20th, 1893. Creating comfort magically. Bare Naturals uses 100% natural soy wax, clean scent fragrances, and natural essential oils. Enjoy a safer way to have your home smelling wonderful. With Bare Natural candles, your home is free of harsh chemicals and toxins. With an eco-friendly and space-saving design, you'll enjoy a safe, sensory experience in the comfort of your own home every time.
Bare Natural candles are committed to only using the most natural, eco-friendly ingredients. Bare Natural candles are vegan and cruelty-free.
Experience luxury at an affordable price. These candles are a one-of-a-kind quality dedicated to peace of mind, relief, and protection.
Begin your journey today. Enjoy code WELCOME for 20% off of an order. Sign up for a free store account to view orders and gain access to your rewards for future savings.
Bare Naturals, where fragrance meets enchantment.
It's more than just a candle. It's magic. When mentioning Fall River, Massachusetts, many minds will automatically go to the horrific murders that happened on 2nd Street that hot August morning on 1892. What is discussed far less is that the land where the bloodbath took place was owned by a family member of Lizzie's that had already seen unspeakable tragedy long before the axe came down on Andrew and Abby. When Lawdwick Borden died on October 6, 1876, he was 62 years old, and in that time he lost 4 young children, 2 of which were murdered by their mother, who slit her own throat with one of his razors. Before Andrew and Abby even moved into the house where they would be killed and dissected, there were already at least 2 deaths behind the doors situated on Lawdwick's land. The Borden family history was cemented in bloody infamy with Lizzie, but decades before she was born, another Borden, her great-uncle Lawdwick, saw horror come to the name through unrepentant death, drownings, disease, and straight-razor suicides.
I really think the land on which the house was built on was cursed, therefore putting a curse on the Borden family.
I am in agreement with you on that one, Jesse. You did mention Eliza Borden in your story. I want to focus more on her right now. We know of Lizzie's alleged murders of her stepmother and father, the anger that lived inside the house with them, and the cover-ups that occurred after, setting Lizzie free to live out the rest of her life in Fall River, Massachusetts, as a free woman. Fall River, Massachusetts is a city with a dark and twisted past, forever tied to the name Lizzie Borden, the infamous female axe murderer. Or so the legend goes. But Lizzie wasn't the only Borden with a story to tell. Deep in the Lizzie Borden family tree, there are other names that carry whispers of tragedy and mystery, including Eliza Darling Borden. Her tale is one of heartbreak, madness, and a chilling end that still lingers in the shadows of Fall River's haunted history. Could her fate have played a role in the darkness that seemed to follow the Borden name? As Jesse mentioned earlier, Eliza had 3 children with Lawdwick, Holder, Eliza Ann, and Maria. With details clouded by time, all that is known is that she killed 2 of her 3 children, sparing Maria, and took her own life soon after. It is said that she brutally murdered 2 of her children by tossing them down the property's cellar cistern and afterwards went upstairs in the small Cape Cod-style home, slicing her own throat with Lawdwick's straight razor. Other versions claim that she committed suicide behind the cellar chimney. Even worse, in order to finish the deed, Eliza would have had to spend a reasonable amount of time drowning the children in the cistern or even just throwing them in, their tiny bodies unable to escape and soon drowning after exhaustion set in. It's even thought that Eliza's husband Lawdwick committed suicide shortly after the ordeal, unable to deal with what his wife had done and the loss of his children. This left Maria to deal with the world on her own, and one can only hope that she did not grow up knowing of the horrors her mother had done.
What Eliza did to her children is heartbreaking. I wonder what was going through her thoughts. She had to have something mentally wrong with her to do such a thing.
She most likely did have some sort of mental illness. However, back then, much wasn't known about mental illnesses. This story is really tragic.
Now, let's discuss what everyone came here for. Lizzie Borden.
This episode is brought to you by...
Tired of the same old coffee routine? Craving a cup of paradise? Introducing Kona Coffee House LV. Bring the magic of Kona Coffee straight to you, wherever you are.
Kona Coffee House LV uses only the finest 100% organic Hawaiian Kona coffee beans, made by perfection by Sammy Scrumptious herself. These gluten-free and preservative-free beans are a rare specialty, offering a unique and unforgettable taste experience.
No need to wait in line. Kona Coffee House LV is mobile, delivering a taste of paradise. Book Kona Coffee today for corporate events, parties, venues, and so much more.
Follow Kona Coffee on Instagram at Kona Coffee House LV for updates on upcoming events. Visit their website at konacopel.com to learn more and schedule your Kona Coffee experience today. Don't miss out on this exclusive opportunity to savor the world's finest coffee. Yes, girl. I am fascinated with this story. I'm just glad we covered the whole family tree. Prior to this, I knew nothing of the Borden family. It's really interesting to know there was a trail of death way before Lizzie picked up an axe.
Lizzie Borden was born July 19, 1860 in Fall River, Massachusetts to Sarah Anthony and Andrew Jackson Borden. Her father came from humble beginnings and struggled financially in his early years. But through hard work, he found success, first in the furniture and casket business, then as a property developer. Over time, he built a fortune, becoming a director of several textile mills and owning valuable commercial properties. By the time of his death, Andrew Borden's estate was worth around $300,000, equivalent to about $9 million today. But despite his wealth, he was famously frugal. He refused to spend money on luxuries, even declining to have indoor plumbing in the family home.
I'm sorry, but indoor plumbing is a necessity. I understand that money can be scarce and you have to conserve what you have. However, if you don't have a toilet, that's a problem.
Everyone needs indoor plumbing. Lizzie and her older sister, Emma, grew up in a strict and religious household. Their lives revolved around church activities and community groups, shaping their upbringing in a deeply traditional and structured way. Little did anyone know their family name would soon become infamous in one of America's most chilling murder cases.
3 years after her mother, Sarah's death, Andrew Borden married Abby Gray. Lizzie attempted to have a cordial relationship with her, but called her Mrs. Borden instead of Mom. She believed that Abby had married her father Andrew for his wealth only. The Borden's housemaid Maggie even stated that the girls rarely ate meals with their parents, and tensions were beginning to grow larger for months before the murders. Andrew had been giving gifts of real estate to Abby's family while leaving Emma and Lizzie with nothing. The sisters had demanded property too, and were given the home in which they were already living. The night before the murders, John Morse, the brother of deceased Sarah Borden, visited Andrew to discuss business matters. Some have speculated that conversation, particularly about the property transfer, had gone wrong, which may have aggravated an already tense situation. Sarah's brother John arrived the evening of August 3rd and stayed the night in the family's guest room. After breakfast the next morning, Andrew and John went into the sitting room and chatted for nearly an hour. Around 8:48 a.m., John left to buy a pair of oxen and to visit his niece, planning to return to the Borden household around noon. Andrew left for his usual morning walk around 9 that morning. Although cleaning of the guest room was often a chore delegated to Lizzie or Emma, Abby went upstairs sometime between 9 a.m. and 10:30 to make the bed. According to the forensic investigation, Abby was facing her killer when the attack occurred. She was struck first on the side of the head with a hatchet, causing her to turn and fall face down on the floor. Her killer then struck her multiple times, delivering 17 more direct hits to the back of her head, killing her.
Andrew returned from his morning stroll around 10:30 that morning. His key failed to open the door. He started knocking. And when the housemaid Maggie went to open it, she saw that the lock had jammed. She would later testify that she heard Lizzie laughing. She did not see Lizzie, but stated that the giggles were coming from the top of the stairs. At this time, Abby was already dead. This was significant because anyone on the second floor would have seen her body in the guest room. Lizzie later denied being upstairs during the trial. Lizzie stated that she then had helped her father remove his boots and slip on some house shoes before he lay down on the sofa for a nap. This story was contradicted by the crime scene photos, as Andrew lay dead on the couch with his boots still on his feet. Lizzie then informed Maggie of a sale in town and permitted her to go out, but Maggie was feeling unwell and stayed home instead, retiring to her room for a nap. Maggie testified that she was in her third-floor bedroom resting, when just before 11:10, heard Lizzie call from downstairs. "Maggie, come quick! Father's dead! Someone came in and killed him!" Andrew was found slumped over the couch in the sitting room, struck 10 to 11 times with the hatchet. One of his eyeballs had been split cleanly in two, suggesting that he had been asleep when he was attacked.
Let's discuss the investigation. Lizzie's initial answers to the police were strange and contradicting. Initially, she reported hearing scraping and groans. 2 hours later, she told the police that she heard nothing. When asked where her stepmother was, she stated that Abby had received a note to go and visit a sick friend. She also stated that she thought Abby had returned home and asked if someone could go upstairs and look for her. Maggie and a neighbor that had come by, Mrs. Churchill, went upstairs and saw Abby lying on the floor of the guest bedroom, face down. Most of the police officers that interviewed Lizzie found her attitude to be a bit suspicious. Some said she was too calm.
Everyone handles murder different, especially when it comes to your own family being murdered. But I do find it odd and strange that her story changed, but it really doesn't necessarily mean that she's a murderer.
You're absolutely right. A lot of people handle death of a loved one differently. Lizzie Borden is a very odd character. Everything I read about her, she is very strange. So maybe she's not a murderer. Who knows?
She really is strange.
Despite Lizzie's demeanor, no one bothered to check her or her clothes for bloodstains. The police were criticized for their lack of diligence when they only peeked into Lizzie's room, but left shortly after when Lizzie said she wasn't feeling well and wanted to lie down.
That's poor police work. Shame on them.
In the basement of the home, police found 2 hatchets, one with a broken handle. It was suspected of being the murder weapon as the break in the handle appeared fresh and it had been deliberately covered with ash and dust to make it seem as if it had been in the basement for quite some time, untouched. Also, due to the random onset of illness before the murders, the family's milk and Andrew and Abby's stomach contents were tested for poison. All came back normal. The investigation sent police into a whirlwind. How could someone have murdered Abby silently and then taken Andrew's life 2 hours later? Was the murderer in the house the whole time? Furthermore, it was estimated that Dr. Bowen, the first physician in the house, examined Andrew's body a mere 15 minutes after he was murdered. How was the assailant able to leave the house so quickly without being seen?
The police faced relentless public pressure with a watchful eye from the community to apprehend a suspect. They found Lizzie Borden's behavior to be odd and unemotional. She had given several different reports about the incident to different people. Reports indicate that the family was unwell just before the murders, and a drugstore clerk identified Lizzie as a girl who came into the store looking for hyaluronic acid. On August 5th, police officers apprehended Lizzie in her sister Emma's clothes, as well as 2 axes and a hatchet head with a broken handle. After Lizzie was informed that she was a suspect in the murders, her friend Alice Russell found her ripping up a dress, stating that she was going to burn it because it was covered in paint. By August 11th, she was arrested and detained for murder.
Lizzie Borden pleaded not guilty. Throughout the trial, several people provided testimony, including the neighbors John Morse and the housekeeper Bridget. As Jessie stated earlier in Bridget's testimony, she noted that when Andrew returned home that dreadful morning, he was having trouble getting into the house. She let him in and remembered hearing Lizzie laugh upstairs, where Abby was suspected to be lying dead. Shortly after, she left Andrew in the sitting room and heard Lizzie calling for her to get help once she discovered her father. Alice Russell, Lizzie's friend, testified that when she arrived at the scene, Lizzie had no blood on her hands, her hair, or shoes. She also noted that she remembered the police having to break into Lizzie's room during a search because the door was locked. The defense never challenged Russell on the statement Lizzie made about burning her dress. The medical examiner closely studied Abby and Andrew's stomach for poisoning, as Lizzie had been identified as attempting to purchase poison. However, the medical examiner found no trace of poison in either of the victims' bodies. He also noted that there was a drop of blood the size of a pin found on a white skirt owned by Lizzie, but no blood was found on the hatchets located in the cellar of the home.
In regards to another theory, Lizzie was questioned about her relationship with her stepmother. It was speculated that she had ill will towards her and that she believed Abby married her father for money. Lizzie and her sister Emma were not pleased when their father distributed some of the family's property to Abby's family. When asked if she was cordial with Abby, Lizzie stated, "That depends upon one's idea of cordial." She continued to say, "I did not regard her as my mother, though she came there when I was young. I decline to say whether my relations between her and myself were those of mother and daughter or not." End of quote.
This episode is brought to you by
Looking for a reputable notary republic at an affordable price? Well, look no further. Mrs. Ashley Lutchman is now taking appointments and accepting new clients. Jesse and I needed some documents to sign for our podcast.
We wanted someone with experience who was well known and didn't cost a fortune.
That's right. One of our good friends had worked with Mrs. Lutchman regarding some legal paperwork they needed notarized and recommended her to us.
She was professional, efficient, and affordable.
If you need important documents notarized, email Ashley Lutchman at ashleylutchman@gmail.com. Ashley Lutchman can be found on Instagram and TikTok. I will link her socials and her email in our show notes.
Ashley Lutchman is remote and commissioned in the state of Florida.
On June 20th, 1893, the jury was sent to deliberate after hearing closing arguments. They remained there for 1 hour and 10 minutes and finally returned with a non-guilty verdict. When the verdict was read, applause broke out in the courtroom.
She's guilty!
What do you mean she's guilty? Jesse, she was found innocent. That's what the courtroom said. Innocent.
Okay, let me explain why I think she's guilty. Only Lizzie had a good opportunity to commit the murders. At the time of her stepmother's murder, household guest John Morse was visiting relatives. Sister Emma was out of town, Andrew Borden was running errands around town, and maid Bridget Sullivan was outside washing windows. Only Lizzie was known to be in the house at the time of Abby Borden's murder. I read that the stepmother was murdered around 9:30 a.m., and Lizzie's father was murdered at 11 a.m. To commit both murders, an outside intruder would have either have to hide in the house for 90 minutes or departed and then returned without being seen.
Okay, Jesse. Good point. But a lot of articles I read stated Lizzie was a petite, tiny woman. And houses back then were built with low ceilings. How would she have been able to pick up a heavy axe and strike down while her father's sleeping without the axe touching the top of the roof? The ceilings were pretty low back then, so it doesn't make sense. What if it wasn't Lizzie? What if it was John Morse? John Morse was a strong man, and he did have that dispute with Lizzie's father over property. He could have easily lied and said he was visiting with relatives and still been hiding in the home.
Well, how do you explain on August 3rd, the day before the murders, witnesses identified Lizzie Borden as having visited Smith's drugstore in Fall River where she attempted to purchase a poison. She explained that she needed the acid to clean a sealskin cape. The clerk refused to sell her it. And on the night before the murders, Lizzie visited a neighbor, Alice Russell, and told her that she feared that some unidentified enemy of her father's might soon try to kill him. That's a little too convenient, don't you think?
I guess. But that doesn't make her guilty.
And just 3 days after the murders, Alice Russell observed Lizzie burning a blue corduroy dress in a kitchen fire. When asked about it, Lizzie explained that she chose to destroy that dress because it was stained with old paint. That's a little sus, if you ask me.
I think a lot of things point to Lizzie Borden being the murderer. However, John Morse is still a liable suspect in my mind. He had reason and opportunity, okay? And what about Bridget the maid?
There's no way it was Bridget, not the maid.
All right, you ready for this, Jesse? Hear me out on this. Honestly, I think it's all of them. I think Lizzie Borden had a lot of resentment towards her father. I believe she loved him, but hated him for giving property to his wife's family. Lizzie's father was so cheap when it came to his own daughters, not even wanting to get indoor plumbing. I don't know how they pooped back then, but sure enough, they did not have a toilet. And then he didn't want to get the plumbing to go poop. But he gave his wife's family so much money and property. Lizzie also disliked her stepmother. Okay. And then John Morse had a disagreement with Mr. Borden while staying in their home. That happened the day before the mother and father were murdered. And then the maid did a lot for Mr. and Mrs. Borden. The maid was also asked to wash the windows of their home on the hottest day of the year. Whether or not that was true or just put in there as an excuse on her whereabouts. Now, that all happened the same day the Bordens were murdered. What if Lizzie first went to Emma, her sister, about murdering their parents? And then the girls spoke to John Morse, who also was upset over property. And then they brought the maid into it. John Morse was probably the muscle behind the crime. I honestly think he was, since he was a strong man and he's most likely the one that used the axe to murder both of the parents. But Lizzie, is the brains behind the whole operation. Now, for all of you out there, before I get 1,000 emails, this is not fact. This is just my opinion and only my opinion. I did a lot of research on the Borden family tree before doing this episode with Jesse, and our assistant Jack helped us as well. And from everything I read in every single article, this was my conclusion from it. Again, it's just an opinion.
Okay, you made a really good point, so I'm gonna go with you. I think you're right.
I think the whole family's cursed, and the land their home was built on was also cursed.
Okay, are you ready to discuss the most important part?
I'm ready! Let's talk about ghosts!
The Lizzie Borden house is super haunted. So many people have witnessed seeing ghosts. The souls of the lost are still trapped in that home. Let's talk about the first ghost that's seen very often. Abby Borden's ghost.
Girl, let's get into it.
Many times, an older woman is seen wandering the house. Some guests think it's a maid or the host of the B&B. Getting up to greet the woman, they find themselves alone. It's most likely Abby, going about her chores just before walking into the guest room to meet up with her stepdaughter and a hatchet. Abby is mostly seen in the second floor hallway and guest room. Visitors sleeping in that room have felt bed sheets tighten around them, then hear brushing, as if hands slide across the covers, with a slight pressure against their chest and legs. It seems like Abby's just making their bed, nice and neat, like any normal day.
Abby's not the only ghost. Lizzie's still hanging around too. Guests staying in the room beside hers wake up at night. They hear the sound of a woman crying on the other side of the wall. Visitors have also reported hearing noises like creaking floors, footsteps, and even laughter, especially in the basement and attic. Ghostly faces are known to appear in the basement, and some have even witnessed the fire alarm going off every couple of months at 3 a.m. You believe it? 3 a.m., Jesse.
Oh my god, that's crazy.
Lance Zell, I hope I'm saying his name right, the CEO of Ghost Adventures, now owns the Lizzie Borden house. This is a quote from him. Guests have experienced limbs or ears being pulled, and they have seen figures moving about in their rooms. A woman in a nightgown is often seen in the Andrew and Abby suite, and this figure is believed to be Abby Borden. The manager, Jared, has seen doors move on their own. His parents happened to be caretakers of the Lizzie Borden house in the 1990s. And when Jared was there as a child, he saw a shadow figure move in the basement. Other spooky things include sightings of the rocking chair moving back and forth on its own. And according to Zell, some people have even witnessed the chair moving a few feet across the floor.
The Lizzie Borden house is so creepy. And the best part about everything we discussed is that Lizzie Borden home is open to public.
I so want to go stay the night there. It sounds like it's time for a ghost investigation.
Well, I mean, we can get a reservation. Like, summer's around the corner too. And the home is now fully functional bed and breakfast housing guests from all over the country. You can even stay in the Lizzie suite and sleep in the bed she slept in. Reports consist of ghostly cats, apparitions, self-rocking chairs, and even that Lizzie herself still haunts the home, choking guests that lay in their bed. The dining room table on which guests enjoy their meals is where Abby and Andrew were autopsied. Guests who stayed at the Lizzie Borden house have captured strange anomalies floating by their beds, noises coming from inside wardrobes, footsteps, laughter like that of Lizzie's in the morning of the murders. And some have even reported being touched by an unseen hand while they slept. I don't know about you, Mom, but I want to do an overnight ghost hunt.
Sounds like a future plan. Anyone can book a stay at the Lizzie Borden house. I've linked a website in our show notes that offers accommodations 7 days a week at Lizzie Borden's home. There are 6 rooms, including 2 suites with 2 beds each. Each bedroom is maintained in the late Victorian style. However, all now feature brand new mattresses, so no need to worry about laying on a mattress that someone was murdered on. They're all new. There are tours, 90-minute guided house tours that is. They're offered daily from 10 a.m. to 3:30 p.m. Outdoor walking ghost tours nightly starting at 7:30 p.m. Interactive and hands-on ghost hunts on the first floor and basement at 10 p.m. Virtual ghost tours and house tours are available on demand 24/7, so you can now enjoy the Lizzie Borden experience from anywhere in the world. Jessie, I think we should do a virtual tour first. Tonight, what do you think?
Sure, let's do that now, and then we can later on maybe book a room.
Sounds like a plan.
Well, folks, that's all the time we have. Thanks for tuning in.
Stay tuned for our bloopers after the announcements.
Our bloopers are a great way to laugh after we talk about spooky and sometimes disturbing topics. It's all of our silly mistakes bundled up at the end of each episode.
Trust me, you don't want to miss the bloopers. We make a lot of mistakes and sometimes just act silly while recording, like Jessie's doing right now because she's looking at me with a crazy stare.
If you have a spooky story and would like to have it read on air, please write us at milkshakesghost@gmail.com. If you would like to follow our socials, we're on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, Threads, Twitter, and Patreon.
If you would like to become a Patreon member, please visit patreon.com/milkshakesandghosts. I will link it in the show notes along with all of our other socials.
Join Patreon for free gifts and cool perks.
Let's give a shout out to our awesome, amazing Patreon members. Mr.E from Special Delivery Show. Check out the Special Delivery Show. His podcast takes interviews to a whole new level. I'd like to give a shout out to our sponsors, Bare Naturals Candles and more. It's more than just a candle, it's magic. Sinister Brew Coffee, where every sip reminds you that the dark side is delicious. Wicked Salem's Candle, so good, it's scary. Kona Coffee LV, Hawaiian coffee delivering a taste of paradise. Ashley Lutchman, a reputable notary republic at an affordable price. All of our sponsors are listed in our show notes, along with links to contact them. I'd also like to give a big shout out to PsychoFiend13. He posts really cool content and has weekly lives with some amazing people. Go give him a follow. I will link his TikTok account in our show notes. Get ready!
MNG VIP members also include Jonathan Morales, Eden Norswick, Elijah Norton, Olivia Perez, Myra Sanchez, Luna of the Darkness, Hidden Shadows, Lynn's Horror Escape, Eric Gonzalez, Jenna424, Richard Waltz, Casey Spooky Stories, Dracula's Occult, Darren Willis, Death Rock 1875, Electric 222, Clara Jones, John and Jenna, Mothman Prophecy 424, Vampires Rock 222, The Blonde Happenings with Kelly and Brenda, Witches for Life 1892, Bigfoot is Real 76, Bloodsucker 95, Nightmares 888, Witchy Talk 65, Dracula Rock 22, Tina and Ruben, Ramos 1772, Bruce the Spooky, Harmony, Joan of Arc, The Dark Side, Ronald H, Joe Santana, Myra Miles from That's So Spooky, Jaden Kimura H, 20S, Jane from the Truth Is Out There, Nadia Edward, Carl, Becca, Manny, Kenna, Jules and Christina, Joel from the Paranormal Countdown, Alan, Justar 1, Maxine, Terra Screams, Jules M, Victor Meyer, Haunted Canadian History, Melissa and Dan, and Drews is Out There with Carly Allison.
Ooh, that was a lot. My goodness, our Patreon members are growing. We love you all so much. Thank you all for being Patreon members. We appreciate each and every single one of you.
And remember, keep drinking milkshakes!
And keep being spooky! It's time for bloopers!
Everyone needs literally he found success.
She brutally murdered.
Birdie.
I don't know what that is, but okay. New word.
Didn't not.
You didn't look like you were moving anywhere. I just look at you like, I think she tried to move. Are we playing the monster game? We're so weird. We're so weird. So weird. Okay. Saw horror come to the name through
It's spooky season, 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 spooky season. It's spooky season, 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 it's spooky season, it's spooky season, spooky season, spooky season, spooky season, spooky season, spooky season. Spooky season, 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 spooky season,